But hers was actually the very first biography that I wrote, and it's been rewritten a number of times. I wrote it once, Owen wrote it once. Lorraine is the only person who's actually from Chicago on the Legacy Walk so far. Most people think that this whole project is just about a celebration of Chicago, but it is world history and culture. And of the nominees, it's about 50-50 U.S. born and international. So it's just a little side note there. Well, Jane Addams, she wasn't born here, though. She lived here. I'm going to turn this over to Ralph Kennedy, one of the vice presidents at BMO Harris Bank. Again, the bank, which is the branch is right here, sponsored the Two-Spirit plaque right around the corner last year. And it stepped up again to do a second plaque, never failing to keep us and to support us. And in typical fashion, if you've taken the tour with me, you know that they coordinate every noisy piece of equipment by GPS and send them whenever I'm talking. So I will turn this over to Ralph to say a few words on behalf of Harris Bank.
Thanks, Victor. And BMO Harris Bank is incredibly proud to sponsor this plaque. And the reason we're sponsoring it is because Victor told me I had to. So, because he wrote it first and he wasn't going to waste all his time on anything. The bank really wanted to sponsor this plaque. First of all, as Victor said, because Lorraine Hansberry was from Chicago, and that meant a lot to BMO Harris Bank because we are one of the last, if not the last, large Chicago-based banks that's still around. So we're very proud to be serving Chicago and still be on our own and be and serving the Chicago, all of the Chicago metropolitan area. And also because I'm on the board of directors of the Lions Pride, which is the LGBT affinity group for BMO Harris Bank. And we wanted to actually be able to sponsor someone that represented various affinity groups. So Lorraine Hansberry represents not only the Lions Pride group, but also our women's affinity group and also our African American affinity group. She was a perfect selection because she was also from Chicago. And I also have to say, we really wanted to make sure that the pylon nearest to our bank said BMO Harris Bank on the bottom on both sides because we're selfish and we're that kind of bank. The BMO Harris Bank has been a big sponsor of the Legacy Project from the very beginning. We're incredibly proud of what this event stands for and the education that it provides for LGBT youth. So this is great to look out and see all you kids here today. It really is absolutely wonderful.
Bless the beasts and the children. That's a very old song, also from the last century. I'd like to bring on PJ Powers, who is the artistic director of Timeline Theater, which is currently doing a fantastic production of A Raisin in the Sun. If you have not seen it, tell your parents that they must buy tickets and take you to it. It was awesome, even though I really felt like I was actually sitting in their living room while it was happening, and I almost tripped one of them at one point. It's really just one of the most electrifying pieces of theater I've seen in a long time, and the fortuitousness of that play running right now while this is happening, it just was meant. So I'd like BJ to come and say a few words.
Thank you. It's really such an honor to be here, and amazing timing that just a few blocks away on Wellington Avenue, we're doing A Raisin in the Sun at the same time of this unveiling, and in the same month that a charter school on the south side and near 87th Street was just renamed after her, Hansberry College Prep. It seems that even more than 50 years after she made her mark with her masterpiece, A Raisin in the Sun, her spirit still is so alive here in Chicago, and this play still has as much to say about our city now as it did over 50 years ago. And while many people think of that play as being mostly about segregation and the obstacles that family has, which it surely is, it also very much is a play of hope and seizing opportunity. And it's just so lovely to have here near this corner this great tribute to hope and opportunity, which is what Lorraine was all about. So thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Thank you, PJ. Where's our reader? Come forward, come forward. Black people to the front. Black people to the front.
And black people.
Black people.
Alyssa?
This is Alyssa. It's very awkward.
Okay. Awkward. Lorraine Hansberry, lesbian UNS feminist, activist, and author, 1930 to 1965. Born the daughter of a middle-class Chicago businessman, Lorraine Hansberry's life, in many ways, mirrored her art and dedication to social justice. After moving into an all-white Chicago suburb in 1937, the family was met with physical violence. Rather than give in to the hostility, they sued. And in 1940, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled they had a right to remain in their home. In 1950, Hansberry moved to New York City, where she eventually married Jewish songwriter Robert Nemiroff, who she quietly divorced in 1964. Her play, A Raisin in the Sun, 1959, was the first play written by an African-American to be produced on Broadway. It would go on to win the New York Drama Critics Circle Award, an honor which Hansberry was both the first African-American and the youngest person to receive. The play, which dealt in human terms with the serious and comic problems of a black family in modern America, was a major stimulus to the 1960s African-American theater movement. A civil rights activist her entire life, Hansberry began identifying herself as a feminist and lesbian in the 1950s. She applauded the growing West Coast homophile movement and was one of the first members of the New York chapter of the groundbreaking lesbian organization, the Daughters of Bilitis. She wrote several essays for its newsletter, The Ladder, under the pen name LHN, proffering that homosexual persecution and condemnation has at its roots not only social ignorance, but a philosophically active anti-feminist dogma. Hansberry linked the struggle for gay rights, rights for people of color, and rights for women long before such terms as homophobia and feminism had come into the vernacular. She died from cancer in 1965 at the age of 34. Her ex-husband assembled posthumous collections of her unfinished works, letters, and diary entries, most notably To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, 1969, whose title was drawn from the last speech Hansberry made to young winners of a United Negro College Fund Writing Contest.
Okay, we welcome Lorraine Hansberry, the only Chicagoan, to the Legacy Walk. Okay, that concludes all of our ceremonies. We are